Hey guys, welcome to INS's Artistic Pursuits. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this fall-inspired maple leaf. You can make them in different colors, add a keyring to it and make them a keychain, or add studs to them, make them earrings, or you can also hang the hanging loops and make them dangling earrings. It's up to you. It's all up to your imagination, and grab the colors that you like. I like these colors because they remind me of fall and all the deep dark autumn colors. So grab your things and we can get started. For today's video, you need very few things. You need a yarn. I've taken this multicolored yarn which has a lot of deep colors in it, which reminds me of autumn. It's a 1 mm polypropylene nylon yarn. I'm using a 2 mm hook. I've grabbed my stitch markers. You can use studs like these or a keyring, or you can also use the long earring loops depending on what you're going to make with these maple leaves. So grab your things and let's get started. We'll first start by making a magic ring. For those who don't know how to make it, follow me. I'll show you how to do that. So now grab the tip of your yarn with your thumb, like so. Now twist the yarn around your fingers and get it back to the starting point. Now start making another line parallel to the yarn that is already there, and twist your fingers around to see the other side. Now cross your yarn over onto the other side of your fingers so that it forms a letter X. Now go under the bottom yarn, pull up a loop with the top yarn, hold it with your fingers, just make sure you're holding this loop and make a slip knot. So there, your magic ring is complete. Now we are going to work 8 single crochets into this ring. First, just go under this loop, pull up a loop and make your single crochet. So that's 1 single crochet. You make 7 more such single crochets. That's me completing my 8 single crochets in total. Once you've done that, grab this tail and pull it till both ends of your single crochets meet to form a circle. Tighten it and your circle is complete. Now once you've completed your circle, we will slip stitch into this first stitch right here. So just go under both those loops and slip stitch to complete that circle. So that's your round complete. Now we are going to make the first leaf. For that, we will make 5 chains. And we are going to work our way back on these chains right here. And I prefer working on these bumps at the back. That's because this side of the chain is going to be visible or on the outside, and if you worked on the back bumps, you have this neat chain that is visible on the outside. It's not really hard, just try it out. Now grab a stitch marker and mark this last chain that we just made. It's just so that that chain doesn't shrink later and it's easier to identify when we are working our way back. Now skip this chain that we just marked with our stitch marker and work into that second chain from the hook. So this is the first one that we marked. The second chain, just work into that back bump. We are going to make 1 slip stitch into that chain. So just insert your hook into that bump and make a slip stitch. Into the following chain back bump, I'm going to make one single crochet. So insert your hook into that space, into that loop, and make your single crochet. Now into the following stitch, we are going to make one half double crochet. So yarn over, go into that stitch right there, like so, and make your half double crochet. Oops. Now into that last stitch that we have, that last chain, we are going to make one single crochet. So that completes our row, and now the last stitch, we are going to slip stitch into that first stitch where the stitch that we just started. So this is the same stitch that we started. We slip stitched into the first stitch of that round, and we're going to go back and slip stitch into that same stitch. So just go under both those loops, pull up a loop, and make your slip stitch. Now we are going to work our way back on these top loops of the stitches that we just made. For that, you pull up this loop and remove your needle from that loop. Now flatten this loop so it is not twisted. Insert your hook from the reverse direction, from the front to the back, and insert your hook into this first slip stitch that we just made. So I'm sorry, that's actually the single crochet that we had just made. So insert it under those two loops, pull up a loop, and pull through all the loops. Pull your loop out. The reason I'm telling you to pull your hook out is if you were to just work your way back this way, there are chances that your chain is twisted and it won't seem flat. So just pull your hook out, make sure that your loop is flat, insert it from the reverse direction, and then insert it into the next stitch right here under both those loops. Pull up a loop and make another slip stitch. So that's second slip stitch done. Now we have two more stitches till we reach this space where we had marked it with our chain. So I'm just going to go ahead and make two more slip stitches exactly like we did the first two ones. Insert my hook under this stitch like so, pull up a loop and make the slip stitch. Now once you've completed 4 slip stitches, pull your stitch marker out. We are going to work one slip stitch into this chain space. That's why I asked you to mark it with that stitch marker. If you had left it, it would be really hard to get into that stitch. So now insert your hook back into that loop, go under both these loops of that chain, yarn over and make a slip stitch. So now you should have 5 slip stitches. Now we skip this stitch where we just made our slip stitch and into this next stitch right here. These are our slip stitches that we just made, and these are the stitches from row number 1 where we made the first slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet. So what we will do is we'll just ignore the slip stitches that we made and we'll work into these loops over here at the back. So this is a chain where we just made our slip stitch into. Now we're going to work into this stitch right here. So insert your hook into under both these loops, pull up a loop and make a slip stitch. Now we'll work into this following stitch. These are the slip stitches. We're ignoring that and working into these stitches. So you just put your hook under these two loops, and between the slip stitch and these loops, just insert your hook and you will go right through these two loops right over here. So now into this next stitch we are going to make one single crochet. So insert your hook, pull up a loop and make a single crochet. Now into that following stitch we are going to make a half double crochet, I'm going slow so you can follow easily. I make a half double crochet here, and for the final stitch we make one single crochet. Once you make the single crochet, we are going to slip stitch back into that very first stitch. That's where we had made the previous slip stitch as well, so we're just going to go back into that stitch and make one slip stitch again. So now this completes our first leaf. For the second leaf, don't worry, the first leaf is the tiniest, so it's fidgety. The second one's a little longer, so it'll be easier to work with. So now after this we slip stitch into the next stitch of our magic ring. So just yarn over and pull your loop. Now for the second leaf we make 7 chains. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We'll mark this 7th chain like we did the 5th for the first leaf, and we'll start working from the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to work into these back bumps. So into that the second chain from the hook, we are going to make one slip stitch. Into that next stitch we make one single crochet. Into the following stitch we make one half double crochet, and into the following one we make one double crochet. Into the following stitch we make one half double crochet, and finally into the last stitch we make one single crochet. Now we slip stitch back into that same stitch of that magic ring. That is the second stitch of the magic ring, this one right here. So we go back into that same stitch and we make a slip stitch. And now, like we did for the first leaf, we are going to work a row of slip stitches on top of these stitches till we reach this chain space. So this time we'll have a total of 7 slip stitches here. Just going to pull my needle out, insert my hook from the reverse side, insert it under this stitch, pull up a loop and make my slip stitch. So I'm going to continue doing that till I reach the end of this row. I have completed 6 slip stitches, and I'm going to pull my stitch marker out, and I'm going to make that 7th slip stitch in that chain space. So that's my 7th slip stitch. Now I'm going to skip that stitch where we just made our slip stitch and ignore all these stitches that we just made, all the slip stitches, and into the stitches from the previous row. I'm going to make our first slip stitch. It's exactly like how we did our first row. So we start with a slip stitch, and then into the next stitch we make our single crochet. Into the following stitch we make a half double crochet. Into the following one a double crochet. Into the following stitch a half double crochet, and finally before the slip stitch we have one stitch remaining and we make one single crochet there. And now we slip stitch back into that same stitch that we've been slip stitching into all this while. So that's the second stitch in the magic ring. We are just going to go back into that stitch and make the slip stitch. Now we slip stitch into the third stitch of the magic ring. So just go under both these loops and make a slip stitch. Now that completes leaf number 2, and now we're going to make the third leaf. For that we will chain 9 times, so we'll have a total of 9 chains. I'm going to mark the 9th chain, and into that second chain from the hook, working on the back bumps of that chain, our first stitch, you guessed it, is going to be a slip stitch. So into that second chain from the hook, I'm going to insert my hook and make my slip stitch. Into the next stitch, I'm going to make 1 single crochet. Into the next, a half double crochet. Into the next, a double crochet. Into the one after that, we're going to make a treble crochet. So that's, instead of yarning over once, you yarn over twice. Go into this loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So that's a treble crochet. Now into the following stitch we make a double crochet, so yarn over once and complete your double crochet. Into the following stitch we make a half double crochet, and into that last chain we make 1 single crochet. After this we slip stitch into that single crochet of the magic ring. Now we'll work our way back, making slip stitches along these stitches. So we should have a total of 9 stitches when we reach this, when we complete the slip stitch on this chain space right here. So just pull your hook, and like we did for the first 2 leaves, we are going to do that for this as well. I've completed 8 slip stitches. I'm just making my 9th slip stitch on that chain space where we had the, I'm sorry, that was my 7th slip stitch. That's the 8th, and I'm going to make the last slip stitch in that chain space right there. Once you've completed 9 slip stitches along the center of that leaf, we skip that stitch where we just made our slip stitch and into that next stitch. As per, we ignore these slip stitches and we're working on the stitches of the previous row. So now skip this chain space where we just made our slip stitch in, and into that next stitch we make a slip stitch. and into the following stitch we make one single crochet. Then we make a half double crochet in the following stitch, a double crochet into the next, a treble crochet into the next. So that's yarn over twice, go under both these loops, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first two loops, yarn over, pull through the next two loops, and yarn over, pull through the remaining two loops. Now we make a double crochet into the following stitch, a half double crochet in the next one, and for the final stitch of that side we make one single crochet. And now we slip stitch into that stitch where we've been slip stitching just before. That is the third stitch in your magic ring, so we're still slip stitching into that same stitch. So now once you complete that, that's your third leaf complete. Now we have the fourth leaf. For that we slip stitch into that fourth stitch of the magic ring. Just go in and make your slip stitch. For this fourth leaf we are going to make a total of 13 chains. That's my 13th chain. I'm going to mark the 13th chain with this stitch marker. I just go through the stitch so that it's easier. Now into that second chain from the hook we are going to make our slip stitch first. Into that following chain we are going to make one single crochet. Into the following one half double crochet, that's my half double crochet, and into the next two stitches we are going to make one double crochet each. So yarn over, make one double crochet into that following chain, and into the next chain we make one more double crochet. So that's two double crochets. Into the next three spaces we are going to make 3 treble crochets. So yarn over twice, go into the next space, yarn over, pull up a loop and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So that's your first treble crochet, yarn over twice, and you make 2 more treble crochets just like the first one. That's my second one, and a third. So now that is 3 treble crochets. Into the following 2 stitches, like we did before these 3 treble stitches, we are going to have 2 double crochets. So yarn over, go into the next stitch and make a double crochet, and into the following stitch another double crochet, and into the next stitch a half double crochet, and then you guessed it, the last one is a single crochet, and then a slip stitch into that 4th single crochet in that magic ring. So the same stitch that we just started our work with. So that's how it looks. So we had 5, 7, 9, and we have 13 in this leaf. Now we will work our slip stitches along these stitches, so we'll have a total of 13 slip stitches, and I'll meet you guys once you've completed the 13 slip stitches. I just worked my last slip stitch in, so that's a total of 13, and as per, we are going to ignore these slip stitches that we just made, and we are going to skip this last chain where we made our slip stitch into, and into that next stitch right here we are going to make a slip stitch. Into the following stitch we're going to make one single crochet. Into the next one a half double crochet, and then we have 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. That is 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, so that's that's 1 double crochet, and the second one, and into the next 3 stitches we have 1 treble crochet each, so yarn over twice and complete 1 treble crochet, the second one, and the third. Now we have 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches, so that's 1 double crochet into each of the stitches, one and 2. Into the remaining 2 stitches we have 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. So first we make 1 half double crochet and then 1 single crochet. And we finally slip stitch into that 4th single crochet of the magic ring. So that completes our half of our leaf actually. Now for the next leaf you slip stitch into that next stitch, and we are going to work back this way, and this, we're going to continue working this way, but we are going to start making these leaves in reverse order. So we're going to make the 3rd leaf first, that is the leaf with 9 chains, and then we'll make this 2nd leaf, and then we'll make the 1st leaf. Once you complete these 3 leaves you'll reach this end right here, and you'll have only 1 single crochet remaining on your magic ring, and we'll add a stem for that. So just go back to how I showed you how to make these 3 leaves, and after this leaf now you make the 3rd leaf first, and then you make the 2nd, and then you make the 1st. So after this slip stitch you will make a total of 9 chains, and then you'll work this 3rd leaf like I showed you. Just go back to that point in the video. I'll put the timing below and play it so that you can make these leaves. I'll meet you guys back once you've completed all your leaves. So you'll have a total of 7 leaves. We made 4 together, and you'll make 3 more on your own, and you come back and I'll show you how to make the stem for the maple leaf. I have completed all the 7 leaves of the maple leaf. Now I have slip stitched this last 7th leaf into that 7th single crochet of that magic ring, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slip stitch into that last single crochet that's remaining. So first we make a slip stitch like we've been doing for all other leaves. Now for the stem we make 5 chains. Now we skip the first chain and into the second chain from the hook, into these back bumps, we are going to work 1 single crochet each. So you'll have a total of 4 single crochets when you reach the end of this chain. So that's 2, and working 1 single crochet into each of the chains. And that's the last one. So that's 4 single crochets, so you have a straight piece, and you slip stitch back into that same 8th single crochet of the magic ring. Now you can slip stitch and cut your yarn. I'm just going to cut my yarn and I will weave in my tail. Now I like to just pull this yarn behind like so I don't have an extra bump with that knot. So now you can see that slip stitch just sits there without actually being looking funny. So now that completes your maple leaf. This is identical to this one, which I added the keyring to. You can see they are exactly the same, so I'm going to add a keyring to this one as well. I'm going to tie these ends in and I'll see you guys for the final look. This is the maple leaf we crocheted together, and as you can see I've woven my tail in and I've added this keychain to it, and that's how the final piece looks. I had made one exactly like this one earlier, and I also made another set with studs in the center of this hole. I just added these studs in between so I can use these studs later on elsewhere, but I added this so that I could use it for Thanksgiving dinner. So you can use them as studs, or you can actually use them as hanging earrings when you can add those hanging loops. So these ones are another color that I made them in to represent autumn. I really hope you liked the tutorial, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments box below. Let me know which ones you like more, the keychains or the earrings. And if you do, when you do create something, please do tag me in your Instagram, in your social media handle. I'd love to see your work. I'll see you in our next video. Until then, happy crocheting!